want to find out exactly why and what the minority's position was on these loans that have been approved. I thank you so much, Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson, for speaking to us. Now, we've seen 5 loan agreements tabled before you, and that's been approved, correct?
Correct.
What happened?
Clearly, you know the numbers in Parliament. The MPP obviously has numerical strength over the NDC. They are more than us by 1 at the moment. And because currently, as we speak, the NDC has 136 minus 1, injuncted member of Parliament, so we have 135. And they also have 137, including an independent member of Parliament, and one is deceased, so 137. So they are, in a normal day, they will beat us by 1. And about 95%, in fact 99% of all what we do here is done with simple majority. So with just simple majority, you carry the day. So there are occasions that we have to try and luck, and we get to probably hear that 1 or 2 of them are out of the country, and we spring surprises on them, and probably we can carry the day. But on a normal day, when they have their numbers, we also have our numbers. They will normally carry the day. This particular loan came at a time that the NDC members of Parliament are contesting elections. Okay? And the MPP, knowing very well that we are contesting elections, and we have about 1.5 weeks to our elections, called for an emergency session, knowing very well that the elections are very heated, heavily contested, and so likely some of them will not be around. And so they called the meeting. Clearly, you could see that when we started, we had numbers more than them. So we knew our numbers from the beginning. And obviously, we saw the MPP numbers, that their ministers and some of them were trooping in and all of that. So in the end, they were far more than us, okay? And when the motions were called, they carried the day. But long story short, I'm surprised that the MPP has the courage to take additional loans at this critical moment. I'm surprised. And we call on the people of Ghana to join the NDC minority, the opposition, and call on this government to account.
Account for the loans?
No, not just, you see, the opposition cannot do the work alone. There are people in this country that voted for MPP. They voted for these numbers, yet they have left it only for the opposition to criticize and to point this government to the right direction. I think that is sad. We call on civil society organization and well-meaning Ghanaians, the academia, and major institutions of state to join us in opposing this administration, because where they are taking this country to is scary. My brother, why am I saying this? We are in a major hole. And when you are in a hole, the first thing you do is to stop digging so that you don't continue going down. Unfortunately, this government will not stop digging. Today I said that Ghana probably will enter the Guinness Books of Records for being a country that has defaulted in the repayment of its debt, external and domestic, a country that is insolvent, a country that is bankrupt as we speak, and yet they want to add to the public debt. Today alone, Ghana considered and approved loans worth $710 million US.
And that's going to add to our debt.
Approximately 9 billion Ghana cedis that will add to the debt. Approximately 9 billion Ghana cedis that will add to the debt. But I ask myself, what are we using this money for? So you see, and when you speak, some of them say, oh, it's World Bank loan and it's concessional. Please, it's not true. It's not concessional, because you see, concessional loans are loans that meet 35% minimum concessionality. Mm-hmm. Some of these loans get only 26% concessionality.
So it does not pass to be a concessional loan.
Yes, one of them is a concessional loan, but the majority of them are not concessional. They are 25, less than some of them 25% concessionality. It doesn't meet the minimum concessionality of 35%. Aside that, whether concessional loans or non-concessional loans, we should be careful where we channel this money to, because in the end you repay. These loans are not grant; they are not free money. Mm-hmm. Even if someone gives you grant, you have to put it into proper use. But these loans, where the loans are going,
so I see one for the establishment of the Development Bank Ghana,
No, that is not a loan. That is a loan we have already contracted, and for some reason, government has decided to on-lend to Development Bank Ghana. So those are not part of the 710. If I'm to add that one, to take us to 880 million.
So this 170 million...
It's an on-lending agreement.
It's not even part of the 710 we were talking about.
Million.
So I see the financing of the primary healthcare investment project.
Exactly.
That's $150 million.
Exactly. So you see, so if you look at the primary healthcare investment program, for instance, first of all, the name suggests that the government is going to build hospitals or buying equipment, but majority of this are for the purposes of consultancy. Consultancy services. Chunk, go and look at the loans. Consultancy. Chunk of this money is going to consultancy. Okay, and if you take another 150 million for public financial management systems, PFM, chunk, and I can confirm to you that that 150 million US dollars going to public financial management system, about 95% is going to consultants and capacity buildings.
In fact, the justification for this,
people to go for courses abroad and all of that. That is what it is for.
The justification for this, they say, is because COVID-19 exposed the gaps in the national response to public health emergencies, especially the preparedness for primary healthcare systems to respond to emergencies.
You see, this is not the first time we are taking COVID loans. Government decided to hide behind COVID-19 and contracted massive amount of debt, massive amount of public debt. Have you asked yourself how this money was used? Yes, there were gaps, but is it the time? Is it the time for us to address these gaps? Yes, there are issues that we need to address, but not at the time that the country has defaulted in repayment of its debt. Not at the time that we can't repay our debt. We have, in fact, public debt has suffocated this economy to the extent that as a result of our unsustainable debt, inflation is hitting the roof. Our city is depreciating at a rapid rate. In fact, our country's economy is failing to grow. We will struggle to get 2% growth this year.
2% growth?
2%. We'll struggle to get 2% GDP growth this year. We'll struggle. And I'm telling you, we'll struggle.
And that is way below what the finance minister has projected in the 2023
just
budget.
Like last year, they projected something and we got lower than that.
So you are projecting that
up to about 2%.
About 2% GDP growth rate by end of year.
Max, you see, and let me also say this to you. Have you noticed that Ghana is still struggling to get an IMF program? Mm-hmm. The president came to Parliament, promised us that he's going to get us a deal by March.
By March.
I said that it's not going to happen. March gone, April gone, we are now in May.
Yes, the finance minister says that by end of month.
Oh, it's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen?
No way.
We're not getting an IMF deal.
It's not going to happen.
By end of May?
It's not going to happen. I mean, I urge our minister responsible for finance to be truthful to the people of Ghana and be candid enough to say that, yes, the timelines, I said A, B, and C, but we can't make it. The earliest will be beginning third quarter.
Third quarter?
Beginning third quarter, July, August. That's the earliest.
You were at the spring meetings.
Oh, yeah. I attended on my own.
You went there. Now, the sense we got from the communication from the finance ministry was that all was well. The external creditors, were getting some level of understanding. The IMF itself was also, as it were, making interventions for Ghana to get a deal as soon as possible. So what is holding this IMF approval?
The world does not want Ghana to fail. We are a very bright spot in the sub-region and in Africa. No one wants to see Ghana crash. Notwithstanding that, there are things we need to get right. We need to get our external creditors to give us what we call financing assurances. These financing assurances are delaying for a reason.
What are those reasons?
Some of the reasons are the fact that you need to give them your intentions of how to, some of the loans, those ones that the amount of haircut you are giving away, mm-hmm. and what you intend to do in terms of repayment and all of that. Right. I can confirm to you, and take it from me, that this month, Ghana will not be able to get a board approval from the IMF.
What are the implications of a situation like this?
It's terrible. I mean, we don't wish that. We don't wish that for our country. We want Ghana to do well. We want to inherit a good economy. We want to come to government and be able to do what we have promised the people of Ghana. But unfortunately, this is a government that has run the Ghanaian economy aground to a point of no return. It will take us years. They themselves have announced that it will take us up to 10 years for Ghana to recover. And clearly, we are today in the year 2023. The numbers looks like 2013. That is what it is. And 10 years before we get back to where we have to get back to. So they have raised all the gains. International image of the people of the Republic of Ghana is gone. The reputation that has been built over the years is completely gone. Completely gone. This is a country that everybody loves. This is a country that was once seen as the hope for Africa. Today, we've now become a laughing stock, and people are referencing Ghana as a country that has defaulted, and unfortunately, a case study that Africa has never seen before.
So it is on record that all the minority MPs who were present today in the House voted against all these 5 loan agreements.
Oh yes, oh yes. I mean, the proceedings of the House are there for everybody. I raised all the critical issues, we opposed it. We called, we used voice votes, we opposed it, and they were more than us, and they carried the day.
Because I see, for instance, what was the justification for this $60.6 million third additional financing for the COVID-19 Emergency Preparedness and Response Project? Why is this in there at this time? And I'm talking about the timing specifically because, as you mentioned earlier, we've talked a lot about the loans that we have taken in the name of COVID-19 and the expenditure that has been incurred in the name of COVID-19.
My brother, we oppose this loan. In fact, this is a loan that we defeated in the last parliament before we went on recess. We defeated this. They brought it back using the other, our rules, and brought it back and got it through. The kind of courage they have to even contemplate in bringing this magnitude of debt to the people of Ghana again, at a time that our debt is in excess of 100% of our GDP. Simply put, if you sell the whole country, our GDP, the whole GDP, the output of Ghana, is not enough to repay our debt. That's what it is.
That's a total
output.
Goods and services produced in this country,
the entire country.
In the, one year.
It's not enough to repay our debt. Our debt today is about 103% of our GDP. Okay? And when you are confronted with a situation like that, where you are not in a position to repay your debt, you have to put the brakes. Let me tell you another thing that probably you are not aware. The entire tax revenue we raise in this economy is not enough to service our debt and to pay for wages and salaries. It's not enough. In fact, you require over 50% of your revenue only to service your interest. Interest only, over 50%. So I think the numbers are almost about 62%. And then if you are to add amortizations, debt repayment itself, you are hitting close to 80%. That, the remaining 20% is not enough to pay the wages and salaries of government workers.
Would you recommend a ceiling or capping for borrowing by government at this time?
Okay, so, and that is why some of us want the IMF program to start early, because the IMF program itself will impose some ceilings.
Ceiling on borrowing?
Yes, certainly, particularly on non-concessional borrowings. The IMF program in itself would do that. But let me make this point also. I think Ghana has missed a golden opportunity to correct the mess that this economy has gone through under President Akufo-Addo.
What do you mean?
this year, or beginning last year, a couple of things, the president should have done a couple of things. One, get rid of the team at the Ministry of Finance and Economic Management team entirely. Bring in a new set of people, communicate to the people of Ghana that, hey, here is where we are. We require a combination of sacrifice from the people of Ghana and government to have it done. 3, government should lead by example by cutting expenditure and reduce size of government. 4, and call on the people of Ghana to go for sacrifice. And so the people of Ghana will now have the encouragement to also sacrifice. And 5, and most importantly, they should have done a surplus budget in the year 2023 and not a fiscal deficit of in excess of 5%. That surplus budget will mean that Ghana will reduce its participation in the T-bill market. That in itself will bring the debt down and reduce the interest rate, particularly on the T-bill rate, and then the economy will reset and inflation will come down from that level. Subsequently, government has intensified their borrowing appetite, and as a result, the T-bill rate has started coming up again. And I can assure you that if this doesn't stop, by the end of the year, we'll get back to where we were beginning of the year.
So we saw a drop from 33 thereabout to about 19 or 91.
It went to about 15, 16, and it's now 19 going and going to 20. So we are still getting there. But let's also note that the rate is also not going up at that rapid rate because the government is relying on Bank of Ghana for financing. The central bank is printing for them. And because central bank is printing for government expenditure, government, for instance, if they had to borrow, let's say, 1 cedi to finance the budget for month 1, they are borrowing 50 pesos from the commercial side, from the T-bill rate, because the long end is shut, and then they'll go to the central bank and borrow another 50 pesos to make the 1 cedi. So this is what is happening. And now that, as part of the IMF program, they will have to stop, the central bank will have to stop printing for government. That will mean that government is going to intensify its activities in the T-bill market, and that will drive the rates to a point of no return.
And talk about the DDEP, it's done. And then you raise concerns about the state of affairs of the banking sector now, the impact that this DDEP has had on the banking sector. I recall talking to the Association of Banks president who made the point that they had to necessarily support this because of the greater picture of supporting the economy. Will the 15 billion financial support fund cushion all the financial institutions that took part in this enough?
No, in fact, I met with the Association of Bankers before they signed on to the DDEs. And clearly, their position was they are ready to sacrifice profitability, but they are not ready to sacrifice their solvency. And as a result, they went ahead and signed on to the DDE. In itself, they have contributed something to the economy. But let me say this. The entire DDE aimed at one thing: transferring wealth from private sector to the public sector. Or in other words, transferring the burden public sector insolvency to private sector insolvency. That's the aim. Because you had a government that is bankrupt and insolvent and is unable to repay its debt. Now, that government is saying, because I can't repay, you are the one who owes me. I can't also pay you or reduce the coupons. So government is taking your money and not giving it back to you. So government has only transferred or shifted the burden of insolvency to the private sector. That is all what they've done. So I'm not surprised that the banks are going down. In fact, I care most and get worried most about local banks. Those banks without parent, the orphan ones, the local ones, they are orphan ones. You see, so those banks that has parent, like the APSA and the EcoBank, and because they are multinationals, they have parents sitting somewhere. They are subsidiaries, so they have parent. But if you have GCB, that is the parent government of Ghana, they have no parent. I mean, NIB, they are orphan. They have no parent. The, what do you call it? Merchant Bank, or what do you call it?
UMB.
UMB and all of them. They don't have parents. So who is going to pay back, capitalize them? There are issues. The banks in the year 2022, last year, made losses of 15 billion cedis 1 year. Some of them has negative, what do you call it, capital adequacy ratio. Negative, some of them. In fact, I cry for CBG, what do you call it, Consolidated Bank of Ghana, CBG. They made losses of 2.8 billion Ghana cedis 1 year. GCB, they made losses of 1.8 billion Ghana cedis and counted. The mighty GCB is even shaking. And that is why I called for a national discourse on this matter. We need to take our domestic bank issue very seriously as a country, particularly the local ones. We need to take them seriously because those are the ones that support SMEs. They are the ones that, apart from supporting SMEs, help us drive growth in the micro, medium-sized enterprise space. They are the ones. And we can't sit down for our banks to be left orphan and not be doing well. No, we have to assist them.
Leader, let's end with illegal mining. The aftermath of the leak of Professor Kwabena Frimpong Boateng's 36-page report has, as it were, revived the conversation about the commitment to the fight against illegal mining in this country. Now, beyond the public discourse for you, what has to be done to give effect to the details of this report that has been made public? Okay.
Aside Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, there is this Al Jazeera Alistair's thing.
Yes.
That alleges that an amount of gold worth $40 million are smuggled out of our shores every day. Today, courtesy the IMF and the World Bank, we have been informed that our reserves has been depleted completely, to the extent that our reserves is around 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay, 2-point-something weeks. That's about 2 weeks. And I think they are even charitable because what I see worse things because some of the things that they have classified as reserves, including the Petroleum Holding Fund, is not available to government. Okay, the Heritage Fund is not available, so it's encumbered. And if you take it out, we have no net international reserves. I mean, largely. These are things that we could easily use to build reserves and buffers for this country. Yet the money is smuggled away. You should be interested in. I should be interested. And if you care about this country, you should be interested in. And I'm sure people in government are interested in this matter. Parliament cannot sit on concern. Today we signaled the fact that we are going to engage, or let me put it this way, we in the minority will start processes, will begin or initiate a process that will bring the matter back to the floor of Parliament and will call on the House to constitute a bipartisan probe into this matter. Bipartisan probe. So it's something that we are going to start. As to when we will do it, we are still consulting, and it's our hope that Parliament is due to come back on the 30th, and probably we may do it when we come back. And it's our hope that that will be done in due course.
I see. But for this Al Jazeera, and you call for a national probe sort of on this.
You see, that is why I said there are two issues. The first one is Professor Frimpong Boateng's report, and the second one is the Al Jazeera master of the documentary. Professor Frimpong Boateng's report is a big matter, very big matter. You can't allow it to die unattended to. And that clearly means that we are not a serious country. In fact, it is a matter that should be of concern to you and to every Ghanaian that cares about the future of this country. Our water bodies are being destroyed, our forests going, our environment dying. we have no future as a country. All because people in officialdom are benefiting from it and are engaged in illegal mining, according to Professor Ato Forson's report. Do you think we should keep quiet? No. 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 Posterity will never forgive us. We in the NDC strongly believe that this is a matter that requires public attention. We need to have a probe in this matter. We need to get Professor Frimpong to speak to the matter publicly. We need to invite those that have been cited in the report to come and speak to the matter. We need to get a proper report, to hear this matter publicly so that the average Ghanaian knows what to do. That should not end there. We should end by having a major recommendation so that Ghana can have a handle on the use of our natural resources. Because as we speak, we have no handle on our national resources. And no country can ever prosper if you have no handle on your natural resources. Can you go to China and engage in mining there?
Obviously no.
Illegal mining,
No.
to destroy their water bodies? You get people from different countries that comes here just to mine indiscriminately, do things whatever they want to, and take the gold away, smuggling it out of your shores with nobody's view? No. This country, something is certainly wrong with our country. Something is certainly wrong. This can't be done in isolation. There are people certainly in officialdom that is shepherding them through this path of unrighteousness. And obviously, we can't sit aloof and unconcerned. So for us, we have designed policies and programs enough to rescue this country in the year 2025. We believe the NDC has solution for some of these things, but we can't sit and wait until they destroy everything before we come back to office in 2025. We want them to start it again now. We want to see that some of these issues are being resolved as we speak. Because if we allow and we sit unconcerned, by the time we take office in 2025, the country will be gone completely. And all what the president could do after it became a matter of public concern was to refer the matter to the CID. Oh my God.
You don't trust the
Oh my God.
do a good job
Oh
on
my
this.
God. We have a problem.
It's a criminal investigation department of Ghana Police.
We have a problem. You see, it should go beyond just investigation. You see, you are the government, you are the president. The people involved, some of them are in your offices. Crack the whip. Crack the whip. Immediately. Because he is the same person who said that he's ready to put his presidency on the line.
In cracking the whip, what would you have expected him to do, for instance?
Oh, I can tell him what to do. I'm not president of the Republic of Ghana, but he knows what he has to do. But let me tell you, he said he's ready to put his presidency on the line.
Yeah.
First, he should have resigned because he has failed.
We're expecting the president to resign.
But am I the one who said that? He said it. So he should go. Okay? He should resign. On the back of that. This is a major indictment on the government of President Nana Akufo-Addo.
Dr. Cassiel Ato Forson, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.